club, Christian, I'm a zealot. Truth's gonna hurt, man, I ain't tryna sell it. And if you think you can refute it, you'll regret it. Cause that's the way it is, like it is, how I tell it. Ain't a country club, Christian, I'm a zealot. Truth's gonna hurt, man, I ain't tryna sell it. And if you think you can refute it, you'll regret it. Cause that's the way it is, like it is, how I tell it.
Okay, firstly, I gotta address apologetics. It doesn't make sense, I'm not sorry, I don't get it. The fact that he was crucified means that we're all indebted. We should demand to have a culture that doesn't soon forget it. Every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess it. Christ is king, listen up, get the message. The time is short, the deception is impressive. The church itself is corrupted and wretched. They preach about grace, no righteousness expected. God gaze at the Pope because their sin is accepted. The devil calls, they don't even try to reject it. They're employed by Satan, they are tax exempted.
Ain't a country club, Christian, I'm a zealot. Truth's gonna hurt, man, I ain't tryna sell it. And if you think you can refute it, you regret it. Cause that's the way it is, like it is, how I tell it. Ain't a country club, Christian, I'm a zealot. Truth's gonna hurt, man, I ain't tryna sell it. And if you think you can refute it, you regret it. Cause that's the way it is, like it is, how I tell it. Is he the land of the free, or is it home of the brave? When you got people here killing babies every day, and all the Christians here think that they can get away if they throw a couple bucks into the bucket on Sunday. But I don't think that that's the way it works. He said to seek the kingdom and his righteousness first, but you wanna grab a handbag, a Rolex, and what's worse, you think that you deserve it, but the bubble's about to burst. It's time to rise, sell the cloak for a weapon. Got the sword in my left, in the right, Smith & Wesson. And I don't think it's wise for you to try to be testing. If you become a Goliath, then I'ma teach you a lesson. It's apostasy, and what the cost will be is the people in the church instead accosting me. But I'm speaking honestly, you are not the boss of me, because I only give allegiance to the one true king. And I don't care if we burn down this whole country, cause it's wretched and rusty and rotten, stupid and ugly. And I got no love for churches and preachers set up above me, cause their democracy's about to be replaced with monarchy. Ain't a country club, Christian, I'm a zealot. Truth's gonna hurt, man, I ain't tryna sell it. And if you think you can refute it, you'll regret it. Cause that's the way it is, like it is, how I tell it. Ain't a country club, Christian, I'm a zealot. Truth's gonna hurt, man, I ain't tryna sell it. And if
What
you can refute it, you regret it. Cause that's the way
up,
it is,
everybody? Welcome back to the Main Character Podcast, level 57. Made possible by the Cult of Con. That's you guys. I'm Con Man, and thank you for being here. Sorry I was a little bit late tonight, guys. There was a bunch of new gadgets I had to plug in over here, and I was totally not ready. I was like, oh, Ethernet splitter. We gotta try and get computers to be connected. You know how it is. Let's hope that it doesn't blow up. We've got some blinking equipment over there that's new, so we'll see if it works. Welcome, everybody, to the Main Character Podcast, the internet's best kept secret, if you ask me. I wouldn't change it for the world. It's great to have all of you here for another great Wednesday evening. Hump Day. We are halfway through the work week. Obviously, that's a good sign, right? Good thing. I hope that y'all are doing well this week. I'm, of course, coming off a super long day. I barely got in here on time today. I was just in go mode from morning until now. But it's good to be here. Of course it's good to be here, but let me just tell you a little bit about my day. I was on a scissor lift, 40 feet off the ground. That is scary. I think heights is my number 2 fear behind the what you want to call it, the open ocean at night. That's my other one. You ever seen that movie, The Guardian, with Kevin Costner and Ashton Kutcher? It's about Coast Guards and that movie. That epitomizes. That's a horror movie for me. That movie, yeah, that's a horror film. All right, I'm gonna pop into chat. Looks like you guys have already been rolling. Everyone's already hanging out. So you know what we'll do? Let's go ahead and throw everybody's honks in the chat so that we can get started. Say hi to everybody, right? We've got the party bus. It is ready to roll. We'll get going in just a second. We have working horns, but before we go any further, I just want to take a moment to say that we did, in fact, get our big blimp and party blimp out of the shop. So I know, Wendy, you're out there. I see you. Let's go. Shout out to Wendy, big blimp and party blimp captain. Yeah. Last week our Woogo horn was broken, so I think we're good. We're back in business. We got lots to talk about tonight, guys. I'm just excited to get there, and we'll get there when we get there. First things first, I want to say hi to everybody. Christy says, Connor, please note who was first here on the bus. Okay, let's see if I can even scroll back that far. I can't. I'm going to have to take your word for it. Oh, shoot. Where are we? Oh boy. Okay, when did the honks really start here? Who was the first honk of the requested honks? Let's see. We're getting there. Oh, I see Doctor Who, my friend. Welcome in, Doctor Who. Of course, one of our moderators here on the channel. One of the very few moderators that we have, actually. But you know, we'll obviously have more employment when we have more trouble. Looks like we're still like enjoying our peace and quiet in the echo chamber corner over here. And okay, let's go. But it's good to have you here, my friend. We also have the Eyes for Truth. Aaron, good to see you, brother. Good to have you here. Wendy says, crush that like. That like, huh? Crush the like. Crush the serpent's head. Good to see you as well, Cage Fighter. And also as well, Adrienne. She's really showing the spirit with these elongated honks. Those, when I see a long honk or just a single honk, Cage Fighter likes to just do like one. And to me, that's represented by this. So that's a single honk. If it's just one honk, it's got to be a mean honk. It's got to be like, get off the road! Who gave you a driver's license? Good to see you, Pepe. Welcome in, my friend. We've also got Amelia Petrella. She's saying hi to Bruce, which means Bruce is in here. Good to see you, brother Bruce. I know you're around here somewhere. We've also got Gwyn David. He says, I hope this week has been a breeze. I'll tell you what, we've been doing the remodel over at my workplace, and it's been different, but it's a kind of change of pace that's been a lot of fun. You know, it's had its ups and downs, but like I've been like, I'll tell you more about it as we get going but once we get a chance, we'll talk about workplace and stuff too. But we did some crazy things during the time that the place was closed down and we weren't dealing with customers. We had to move some like gigantic metal poles that used to support like sport nets of some kind, and they were like anchored into the floor with epoxy anchors that were like breaking loose, and so it was extremely dangerous. So we had to like get a scissor lift, hook up to this giant several 100-pound metal beam and like break it off the studs and then like lower it down and put it on carts and drag it out. It was pretty terrifying. It's been a week. You know, I've been really exhausted, but I'm in good spirits, right? That's what matters, right? Is our attitude. It's everything for sure. I really do believe that. You know, it sounds so dumb, but attitude is totally everything. If you like approach things in life with a positive outlook and remember that like God is doing stuff with you, if you remember your life matters, you're not just like a drone. So you're doing things and like there's some significance to it. Like we may not notice it at first, but I've been thinking about this. You know, I talk about it all the time. Like when we're working with our lives in coordination with what God wants in our lives, we'll find that he uses all things for good for those who are called by God and who love God and are called according to his purposes, is what I'm trying to say. And the long story short of that is basically that you can look at things that happen in your life differently once you enter into this new way of living. And I've been on this thing lately where I say the reason you have a job is not because you have bills that need to get paid. It's because that job needs you. And God knows it. And so he's using you for something. And this week I've really felt that, not to like toot my own horn. Everybody's been pulling their weight. But this week that's been going by, I know I've been a huge asset to this company. And it's like, it feels good to be one. Like it feels good to know that I'm actually helping them through this transitional process to the like remodel and everything. And it feels good, man. It's all about how you want to look at it. And I think that if you can appreciate what you're called to do, and then the nitty gritty in between and just kind of keep moving forward. If you have that aspect of understanding that you're doing things with a purpose, it's not just like another useless day that means nothing. You're traveling towards something inevitably, and hopefully that's towards becoming the person that God wants you to be. So, you know, maybe you get dirty, you get covered in Bondo dust, and it's like, I still smell chemicals. I hope I'm okay. But we'll figure it out, right? It's good to see you, my man. We've also got Pearl. Good to see you, Pearl. Welcome in. We got Mad Pax, brother Mad Pax. I know that what's going to happen is this thing's going to go flying, and then we're going to be in real trouble. Adrienne, welcome in. I think I got you already. Ain't a country club, Christian, I'm a zealot. Let's go. We got Contend for the Faith. Ricardo, welcome in, my friend. He's like, is the bus too full for one more? This bus is kind of like it's a magic school bus. It's got room for more people than what makes sense. It's like a clown car, but it's not for clowns. It's for intellectuals. It's for intellectuals. It's for those who enjoy Sprite Kool-Aid, the collaboration that will one day exist. Imagine you're walking through the store aisle and you see like a lime green or whatever spring green metallic package of Kool-Aid, and it says Sprite flavor. Does that exist? Am I crazy? Is there such a thing as Sprite Kool-Aid? I guess we'll look that up in a second. Somebody remind me to check that out. Cat lady times 2. Yes, I didn't miss the bus tonight. I've missed the past several weeks. Well, I know this is like a late show, right? We're late nighters over here. This is 6 p.m. starting off on the West Coast, which is 9 p.m. on the East Coast, and probably like 4 o'clock in the morning in UK or something. So it's not exactly polite to people who have work in the morning, but hey, we're here. We got to enjoy our Wednesday night somehow. I feel like initially this was going to be like the Wednesday night Bible study, and I guess sometimes it is. But we were like, oh, Sunday service. You know what I need? I need like a headliner show. I need a show where it's like, oh, it's like where you're the main character. And then we're like, that's it. But for real, no, I did initially have this idea that Wednesday night was going to be like a Bible study fellowship group, but I just didn't think it would work. I needed a vent. I was like, Sunday service, we read the Bible and we study the Word, and it really is a Bible study every weekend. And I love doing that. I love being a part of that. But I got to be able to, like, do the other thing. You know what I mean? Like, you guys know, I got to do the vein bulging. I got to channel the other end of my spectrum here, the autism spectrum that I'm on. Good to see you, Allison M. Debunk me? Okay, fine. Then please find the 4th white towel I put in the washer last month. 4 in, 3 out. Oh, trust me. There's something definitely going on with the laundry. I think that it's the same principle behind why there's unlimited seats on the party bus. It's just some sort of like it doesn't follow the same laws. It's a different realm. Once you close the door on the washing machine, that's essentially like a portal to another dimension. And somewhere is a sock dimension full of socks, underwear, and apparently towels too. It's consuming entire towels now. Yeah, I had a coat I really liked. I put it in the dryer just to fluff it up. Never saw it again. Bruce, Jesse, there you are, my friend. Good to see ya. Mama Khan says, I'm here. I've missed the last 2 live streams. You've been busy, huh? You've been grandmama-ing. That's going to be a lot of work, I bet. It's good to see you, Mama. We got everybody in here, all the regulars. We got Marcus Rodriguez. He's like, I call shotgun. I think we should have, like, door gunner. Like, Party Blimp has mounted guns on the side. Like, there's a little car on the bottom that's attached to the blimp. That has turrets on it. That'll go over well. Let's let the ATF listen to that conversation. It'll be Waco before we even get moved in. They'll be waiting for us. It's great to see you guys. I'm so glad to be here right now. This has been a long week. I'm actually blessed I don't have to work tomorrow. And I've got a lot of stuff I need to be doing, channel related and otherwise. So I'm blessed that I don't have to work tomorrow. I get to do that. I'm tired. I need a little rest. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reason why I'm so elated right now, right? Made it through this portion of what I'm doing. I hope that you guys can say the same, that although it may have been a busy week or maybe not so, I hope that it was a good week. That's why we're here. We're here to finish off strong. We got, for some people, 1 day left, like for me, and for other people, it's maybe the beginning of your week, but I always like to send off Wednesday night on a positive note if I can, even if it's a vein bulging rant. I try to like give my best energy, you know what I mean? But it's good. It's good to be here with you guys. I always appreciate the opportunity to chill out with you guys and to see all of you guys in the chat, hanging out together and really, embracing that community that we love to see. And that's really, I think, the main reason that we were going for. Like I said, Wednesday night was going to be like a Bible study, like a fellowship group. And it's transformed into something different, but the goal in that was created where people come to a place where they recognize each other, they're not being judged by anybody, and you guys can believe whatever you want to believe here. Like, yeah, we're going to have times where we butt heads, we don't see eye to eye on stuff. I'm sure tonight it's going to be a problem somehow. But that's the point, we got to be real about stuff. Like, when it comes down to it, like for me, the only thing that really matters is the truth, and what really is the truth is the way, the truth, and the life. That is Christ Jesus. You can't have the truth without the way, the truth, and the life. And so, if that's what we're hinged on, who is Jesus? The King of the earth, the Son of God. He's alive today. He's King today. Everything else, water under the bridge, man. We'll find out at Judgment Day, I suppose. Right? We'll figure it out then. So, with all that being said, guys, let me go ahead and catch up with everybody. We got Steven. Welcome in, my friend. We've also got Sebastian. This week has been a Febreze. I hope that means a good thing. Because for me, Febreze is kind of like that's a Band-Aid for a bad smell. That's what Febreze is. Rusty Shackelford, 7 people. You probably there's only 7. We've been shadow banned. I wouldn't be surprised. I've literally seen views get deleted from this channel before, which is why there's also more to be said about channels. Where are we at? Are we caught up with you guys? I feel like I'm seeing all my regulars. What's up, Rev? Welcome in, my man. We've got, I think I said hi to all of you guys, seriously. Oh, we got Rejoice Artworks. It's good to see you, Elizabeth. Welcome in. Half Truths, my friend. Good to see you, man. See, I knew I'd missed a couple. Why, when I do this too early, I miss everybody. We've got Donica Tibbetts. Welcome in. Good to see you. We've also got Hokma. Adrian, I hope Mandela is okay. That is something I want to say. That it is important to note that this is not the Mandela effect SmackDown. This is the Mandela SmackDown. I'm sure you guys saw the thumbnail. I actually have failed in one of my most important duties. But it can be resolved. Can't it? Level 57. Yeah, here we go. All right. So I can still share it with you. Let's go. A lot of you guys saw this on the way in, but I just threw this together really quick. This is The Undertaker versus Booker T 2004 SmackDown. And so right now, obviously, this is we found out, what is he, 6'10" and like over 300 pounds, and he's about to jump on this man laying there on the ground. I just thought that was the best. Mostly because this all started with a joke. Like, as many of you guys know, I was hanging out with a lot of you guys over there on Understanding Conspiracies live chat, Paul, you know. And he was talking about Mandela effect and kind of sharing his opinion about it. And I was like, you know what? I got some stuff I want to say about Mandela effect. And I was like, you know what? Mandela, I don't know if I called it SmackDown. I think I called it like Mandela Showdown or something like. No, I don't know. Mandela Takedown or something, but Mandela SmackDown is honestly hilarious to me and totally great. And I'm gonna say some things that are probably offensive to some people. I totally understand that, but I'm also like not here to tell anybody what they should believe or shouldn't believe. I have some like really skeptical opinions about things. That's how I got this far in life, because people, like, something comes after me, I call it the smell test, and like something comes my way and I sniff it and I'm like, something smells fishy around here, man. I don't know. and Mandela effect is one of those examples. So all I'm saying is there's some stuff that should be said about it, and I want to say it. That's why it's mostly a joke. I'm not really here to crap on anybody at all. In fact, as you guys may know, and I will surely recommend, everybody should go and watch CFM, Ceiling Fan Man. Last Friday, he had a great discussion about Mandela effect, and he showed a lot of really great examples, some really compelling pieces of information, and I think that they are part of the discussion, and so I could never articulate them as well as he does, because this guy's a master at doing this. He's been debunking BS for quite a while now, I imagine. So definitely I recommend going over there to Ceiling Fan Man, and I'm sure one of our lovely moderators will leave his channel link in the channel in the live chat. Of course, most of you guys are already subscribers of Ceiling Fan Man, which is great. That's how we do it around here. We keep a tight-knit community, at least I hope we can. Anyway, I'm thinking we're almost there, right? Rusty Shackelford said, I saw you commenting, Rev, on that bearded guy talking crap about the short season. Oh, okay. Yeah, the fight is on. Jason Jones, yo, welcome in, my friend. We've also got Samantha Fox. Good to see ya. That's the other half of the half-truths. That's actually kind of cool. I like that. All right. Have I caught up with we got Coday. My friend Coday. Let me go ahead and we'll give you one of these. Good to see you, my friend. Coday got renamed Coday by Wendy. It just added into the lexicon. Now Coday is actually part of the lexicon. Let's go. We got Jasper Jaguar. Welcome in. We've got Trish Clark. It's always good to see the Clarks in the chat. We love you guys. I think we should be. If not, I hope I didn't miss anybody. I'll feel bad. Oh, we got Beth Fisher. Welcome in, Beth. It's good to see you. I'm not really, because I'm in the car. That's okay. I think a lot of people actually listen to this show while doing other things, and I'm okay with that totally. Like, I've never considered myself to be like the show that's like everyone stop the presses. It's the main character podcast. You know what I mean? I'm not even that way. I listen to other creators and I try to be in the chat, but you guys know how it is. You got laundry to do. You got to drive places, go to the store, make dinner, whatever. It's hard to be like in the chat and focusing and cooking and cleaning, building, constructing some sort of a realm. Sebastian said, I know for a fact that the Berenstein Bears had a tail. Oh, so there's another level to the Berenstein Bears. Not just that they're Berenstein versus Stain, but that they had tails. Very interesting. See, there's so many levels. Good to see you, Steven. I don't know if I got you yet, but welcome in, my friend. Are we there? Are we there? I'm gonna start quickly scooting down here. Let's go. Oh, Jeffrey. He tried to sneak into the bus. Where's your ticket, son? I need to see your bus fare. Imagine that. Imagine it was like a paywall. Sorry, you're gonna have to paywall. It's like a pay to enter chat. You have to pay your fair share. Gas is not free. Gas, grass, or ass. Nobody rides for free. Yo, here's everybody. Let's go. We got even more folks popping in. I've seen this. Mel26. Love that. Debunk BS. Let's go. We got Jeff Nugent, my friend. Welcome in, Jeff. All right, I think we got Amy. Welcome in, Amy. We got Renee Warren. Hey, I saw you saying you were going to make it. It's good to have you here. Is it Renee? Renee? I think we talked about this once. I think you told me. I think you told me how to pronounce it. I just am bad. I suck at names. I remember faces better than I remember names, but obviously no one has a face here, so that poses a problem to my brain. Pineal Wasteland. Here we are now. Entertain us. Mandela SmackDown. They're like, all right, give us something good to say. Give us something good. Don't worry, I planned absolutely nothing of value, so you'll be pleasantly disappointed. No, I'm just kidding. I have some stuff I want to say, but welcome in, Jamie Escoto. Welcome in. We also got Wayne Bailey. Good to see you guys. I'm glad everybody's here. It seems like now the pressure's on. We got Pyramid. Welcome, Pyramid. Never seen you before. What's up? Welcome in. Did I say hi to you, Jason Jack? It's good to see you, man. About to preview tomorrow night's Humanly Curious video. I'll be back. Well, it's good to see you, man. Thanks for popping in. We're happy to have you. We got Chiro Sounds. Kiro. Okay. All right. I see the bottom. We are in. This is what we call the back of the bus. Everybody's racing to get here to the back of the bus. That's where everything happens. All right. We have some stuff to discuss, okay? I wrote down a few things because I have extreme ADHD and I can never get anything done. Oh yeah, Notepad. I use this Notepad like a lot. It's one of the most useful apps I've ever had. All right. Oh, you know what we didn't do? We didn't stop at Shilltown. You know what? The Patreon thumbnail has not been updated, I'll admit. I've been so busy, I just have not gotten a chance to update it. And I know I said this will be the last time you see it. For the record, this group here is the current last original Patreon supporter group. So thank you guys for helping us through the first series of this channel. I'm excited for the future of what's to come, and thank you guys for helping to make this possible. Because I would not have been able to do all of this without all of you guys' help and support. And it has been amazing. So thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate you guys drinking the Kool-Aid and playing along with all this. But let me introduce you guys to the new Cult of Con Hangout. Like, I'm sure all of you guys probably know that we have been sitting in front of that banner right there. Let me see if I can move so you can see it. That banner, we can't even really see it right now because the color schemes I got going on. Let's see if we can make this a little bit more visible. I've got all these different remotes. Like, look at all these remotes. Like, all these, like, new items came with these weird, like, eerily similar LED controller remotes and stuff. And so I'm like, oh, which one's which? So this one here, isn't that cool? It's like Aurora Borealis generator. And I just thought that was excellent fitting with the whole, plasma moon map thing. And there's a lot to talk about what's going on here now versus just the background. And of course, I still have room, as you guys can see. This whole wall right here, the back of this door right here, boom. And then we also have this wall over here behind my head. I don't know how to explain where that is. Back there somewhere. And there is, I don't know if you can see it, but there is some cool stuff that's unique to the channel. We've got like Ceiling Fan Man banner up there, JT Follows JC shirt. We've got actually like the Cult of Con embroidery that my mom made. That's so cool. Obviously our plasma moon map from Vibes of Cosmos. It's really great. We got moon ball and lights and candles, all this fun stuff, dude. It's really exciting. And what's more than just what's going on in the background, obviously what's to come is to fill this in, and I probably need to do more with the lighting because you can't really see the Ceiling Fan Man banner. You can't really enjoy all of the stuff, and there's ways I can orient this to make it look different. There's different ways. Like if you guys want to see a particular color in the background, let me know. like vote a color or something, and we'll change it. Because I was digging it was kind of like a purple, purple aurora. Pretty cool, if you ask me. I think it adds to the flavor, and then obviously the moon ball is doing what it does. It's a really awesome setup. I love the. Don't use the remote to turn off the candles. Switch off on the bottom. The candles are individual. They're not part of the overall setting. That would be cool, though, if they were, like, connected to each other. If that's a thing, we're going to have to look into that because that's crazy. These are some cheap candles that are just, like, one-time LEDs that I got a long time ago when I first started. I thought, why not? First night back in the new place. We'll have a actual culty background for once, or for right now anyway. So very excited. This goes along with thanking all of our wonderful supporters on patreon.com/thecultofcon. This weekend, we're expecting to air the new update video, which is going to give some of the backstory on how this whole thing came to be and show me like struggling to put all this together and also a tour behind the scenes look of the new creative space that we have here and for everything that I'm going to be working on with in this space in the near future. So that'll be available for free to all of our members, including the free tier over on patreon.com/thecultofcon. So consider joining us over there and consider becoming a supporter. Maybe, maybe not. Either way, we have 2 chat groups over there, which I kind of didn't ever say anything about. And so it's very quiet over there because I think a lot of people don't know that there are actually chat groups over there. I can't remember exactly what we call them. It's like the Ritual Chamber and the Party Bus, I think, right now. But it'll probably end up being the Party Bus and Big Blimpin'. And that's basically the free chat and the paid chat that are, that's the separation of them. If you become a paid supporter, you can go into the paid chat. But otherwise, everyone can join the free chat as well. I don't spend a lot of time on Patreon just because not a lot of people do. But maybe after saying that we can chat there, you guys will join me over there. Or if you have any questions or anything you want to say to me directly, it's a good way to actually reach out and talk to me. So if you have, something you want to say or ask or whatever, like hit me up over there and we'll talk about it. So consider joining us over there, even just for that reason. I know we have a lot of free members over there now, so make yourself at home, say hi, meet the community. Everybody's here for the same Kool-Aid drinking reasons, I think. I don't know why else you would watch this show. You'd have to be on something. Oh, man. Anyway, popping back over here to chat. I hope y'all are having a good Wednesday night. I actually wanted to ask if you guys would let us know, kind of, are you guys having a good Wednesday night? I feel like when we come together as a community, it's all positive vibes. Yeah, there's some trolls here and there. Yeah, we have our disagreements and our struggles in the interim, but I think that at the core of it all, we have something really special here. And I really mean that when I say that. Like, all throughout my life, I've participated in different like groups that were like fan groups for certain things, right? Like, oh, we all like Star Wars, or we all like Marvel, or a certain video game, and people are drawn together by different things that they like, But when you're drawn together by this love for God and His kingdom, and it transcends the basic understanding, it's not like we're part of a religion or even like a church. Right? The traditional churches that like it's a building and we go there and we meet each other and it's kind of a role play, right? We're not role playing. This is real life for us. This is what we really believe about God and about the universe and about our purpose and everything that we, have to say and do in this purpose and fulfilling what God wants us to do. And that's the core focus of what I think everybody here believes, and that is the tie that binds. It's so much more important than a sports team or a movie or an intellectual property that can easily be ruined by a bad, chapter, right? Like they put out a bad Star Wars movie and now it's like, man, Star Wars, I don't know. It's cringe. I mean, it was always cringe, I guess, but it got extra cringe when they did a bunch of weird world-breaking stuff. You guys know what I'm talking about. Whether it's go woke or it's just no integrity to the story, right? They always find a way to screw everything up. This is something that no one can screw up. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He is alive today. He is King. Hallelujah. No one can take that away. So this is the only piece of real thing that we can actually be appreciative of, be a fan of, be drawn together by, that actually, like I said, transcends everything. Even if we don't agree on stuff like what is going on in the world with my underwear, then at least we can figure out, at least we can figure out what matters to have your soul not be lost, right? Like, okay, I don't know. And that actually brings me to what I want to talk about tonight. Without any further ado, it is important that I say, of course, as I mentioned, we should go and listen to Ceiling Fan Man's episode last Friday. The reason I'm saying that is because, like I said, he articulated the believer's perspective so well, and I there were things that stumped me, man. He's got some good points, but I'm not sold. And so the point of this conversation is not to try and make anybody feel dumb or like to just be a contrarian because I have to be, but it's just because in life I have to look at things from a big picture, and then I have to inspect it, and everything has to pass that smell test. You know what I mean? Each piece of the puzzle, place. I'm sniffing and I'm placing every piece of the puzzle. So look, there are some pieces of this puzzle that are wild and that are like, man, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know. And what I'm wondering about is, I heard people saying, was this real? Did he? Okay, no. People were saying he died today. He did not die today. Yeah, I don't know why we were saying that. He's alive. But check it out, okay? Nelson Mandela, the man, the myth, the legend. On May 10, 1994, he was inaugurated as South Africa's first democratically elected president. I actually can't talk about him very much, because if I say what I really think, I'll get in trouble. But Nelson Mandela was, a prolific political figure in the time of his early years, we'll say in the 90s, effectively. And he was very prolific in the 90s. And many people, of course, remember a time, and this is actually the origin of the whole thing, right? Who is Nelson Mandela? This guy right here. The guy that's being body slammed in this photo right here. And it's because, listen, we can say whatever we want, but there's a difference between wanting things to be fair and pursuing some kind of, I don't know, I guess you could say revenge. I don't know. All I can say is that this guy is not a nice guy, and he's not a likable guy. And so the world kind of honors him, he's so great, and I'm not here to do a giant character destruction, although it is Mandela SmackDown. But the guy is incredibly racist and involved in all kinds of really destructive political activity that has led to the state of South Africa today, which, as many people who are not, I don't know how you would call it, I don't want to say ignorant, but you have to not pay attention to know what's going on to a certain demographic of people in South Africa who are seen as unwelcome or privileged in some way. And they have been targeted in endless, ongoing, multi-decades now, just inhuman behavior and treatment from the authorities in that region, which kind of began with the kind of stuff that this guy was talking about. He's kind of like what I would call the father of the current state of South Africa. Right. He's a part of South African Communist Party, right? He's influenced by Marxism, which, as you know, that guy, very good. So the point is, we don't have to go too far in. but to understand that basically he got himself into trouble being a radical, a terrorist, basically. And so he was essentially imprisoned. And during, well, what era? In the 80s, I suppose it was. It was essentially reported, or at least some people remember it being reported, that Nelson Mandela had died during his time in prison. And so there were a lot of people who remember that being the case. I don't know if it was necessarily in the 80s or when exactly it was. I think that if we just look up the Mandela effect, it'll say what is most commonly known about it. And here, let's see what their short synopsis says here or whatever. The Mandela effect is the phenomenon of a large group of people sharing a distinct, collective, I'm not going to say false, but we'll just say collective memory about a past event that contradicts documented evidence. There is a lot of instances of this where people remember things a certain way, and that's not what's established as the actual fact, but that doesn't mean it's not right. Of course, I'm throwing a bone here right away because I remember watching history being made during 2020, as I'm sure you guys remember. And during that 2020 era, things were being written down as the facts that were actually patently false. And history today says, well, what happened was blah, blah, blah. But that's not what happened. And to this day, it has not been corrected. So you could look at stuff like history in this instance and say, well, they reported it, this is what happened, and then they say, no, they didn't. But that's literally gaslighting. They do it all day long. The powers that be are not new to doing this either. They publish things in the news that are patently false, and everyone just starts repeating it as though it was the truth. And it's like they know it's not true, but they like the tribal points it gives them. Like, I remember this one that's really famous, you guys probably know. It's called the good people on both sides hoax or whatever, the good people hoax or whatever. And basically, there were these protests going on, general Republicans, general Democrats, and then there was like far leftists and far right people. And there was a clash, and people were injured, and there was problems because people are politically divided by this Hegelian dialectic thing. And what's happening is people are getting roped into it who weren't involved in violence or criminality. Like innocent old people are getting like hit in the head, on either side of the political divide. And so Donald Trump, and to all credit where credit's due, he was talking about how ridiculous it was that anybody was being roped into one thing or the other based on this predisposed, well, my team couldn't have done it, it's the far right or it's the far left. Like everyone just blaming everyone like without any consideration to what actually is real. And what Trump was saying is that both sides of that melee and problem had good people on it that weren't there to be violent or cause problems. Innocent people who are confused. It's like, and for once he said something truthful. He said, well, there were good people on both sides, as in that there are, good and bad things, good and bad representations, but that there were innocent people on both sides is what he was saying. And they turned it into him saying Nazis are innocent and good people. And it just, it was never true, but the media just said it. And then over the course of many years, I would hear people who were like of the political left dichotomy against Trump say stuff like, yeah, well, he said there were good people on both sides. He said Nazis were good people. And it's like, that's so just patently false. But history would say, well, Trump said that Nazis were good people. And so, and of course, there's so much to unpack about Nazis being good people. I mean, that's a loaded statement. But still. You get what I'm saying, that history isn't always what they say it is. I think this community knows better than anybody that the history we're told about how the world works and where we came from and everything, that's a bunch of crap. Whatever's convenient for them, right? Oh, this building was founded by whoever. That's why he, having no prior history, owns a giant, like, monolithic mansion building. Well, it's the Carnegie Hall. He was a philanthropic businessman that was, you know what I mean? It's just so dumb. We're not dumb, dude. We're smarter than that. So we know they lie about all kinds of crap, right? So from the very beginning, there were people who remembered this sensation that, didn't this guy die off? Like, didn't somebody tell me that this guy died and then, and I even heard this and I didn't even know who he was. I'm too young, dude. I was like born in 94. I was under the impression that he died or that he was already dead, right? Okay, so he falsely, okay. This person supposedly gets credit for it, I guess. I don't trust the internet at all anymore, really. But this is what the internet tells us, right? The Mandela effect, right? It was named by Fiona Broome after discovering that many people, including herself, falsely remembered Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s when he was actually released, became president, and died in 2013. While some theorize the cause is parallel universes or altering timelines, the more accepted explanation involves imperfect memory, suggestibility, social reinforcement, and the brain's tendency to reconstruct rather than record events accurately. And this video explains the Mandela effect and its psychological basis. I wonder about this. Pretty new video, 2025. How long is it? We're not going to watch it right now, but maybe we'll touch back on this later. Let's go ahead and just open it in a new tab and make sure it's not playing.
Discuss.
Oh, I've already been here. Maybe I've watched this already. Let's go. Okay, anyway, the point is that maybe it was just my preview that it was registering. The long story short of it is that this is a real thing. And I don't necessarily mean this is real as in it is what we think it is or not. But there's no denying that people are responding. Something is happening. It's a popular thread. And I think that there needs to be a distinction, right? There needs to be an understanding that there's a difference between being skeptical and wondering if something is real or not, or how it's happening, or what is really going on. That's a good position to be in. Curiosity, interesting. But I feel like when we get to a position that we're like, oh, I'm decided that's not what it is, or that is what it is, I feel like that's a dangerous place to be about anything other than Jesus. So I'm even pretty adamant about some things I believe in, but I know that the foundations of everything else is kind of like, well, it seems like it. I got to wait till the Lord reveals the truth to know. I don't actually know, like when it comes to stuff like Little Season or the last season as we call it, are we really living in the time after the millennial reign when Satan is loose to deceive the nations? It seems good, but that's not. I don't know that. You know what I mean? Nobody knows that. And so with anything, I see people get carried away on stuff because they're like, they know it. And I think that there's a line in the sand where, like, look, if you told me Jesus Christ is, I already know Jesus is the Son of God, the King of the earth. But like, you told me that and I knew it was the truth. And then people like came at me and were like, if you don't stop with this rhetoric about Jesus, if you don't stop, we're not going to talk to you anymore. We're not, you know what I mean? Like if it becomes an issue that I'm going to lose my job, my family's going to write me off, I'm going to go to prison or something. If it's over the truth of Christ Jesus, you better believe, bye. Like I'm not preserving anybody who's going to try to take Jesus Christ away. Like, oh, you can't follow God. You can't be a believer in Jesus. You're like, whatever. No way. Not worth it. I say I'm sorry. The truth of Christ Jesus is the only hill worth dying on. That's what I mean to say. That anything else that we think is true or really, really believe it is, I would not die on that hill. I wouldn't even die on Flat Earth Hill, and I'm pretty, you know what I mean? Like, if somebody was like, a gun to my head, it's flat or not, I'd be like, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I'm not willing to die saying that it is. Like, if you're right, then it's an empty chamber. But if you're wrong, it fires. Well, I'll just be wrong and let you be right, bro. Because I'm not that adamant that I know everything about the shape of the earth and stuff. I'm like small town guy. Like I haven't exactly flown all over the place or been riding around in helicopters or high altitude craft or whatever. Like I don't actually know. I know math and science and I know bullshit, but I don't really know. And so this Mandela thing, man, people are talking about it. People are thinking about it. Stuff is happening. And, and so there's something that has to be talked about. There's something that's here. Something is here. And when I first got into this stuff, man, I'll tell you, the ones that really got me, Berenstain Bears, dude. That was a pivotal part of my childhood. Berenstain Bears was like, that was one of the only main things that we watched as kids. It was Berenstain Bears. We didn't even really watch Sesame Street very much. Like we watched less of the more popular things, and not that Berenstain Bears wasn't popular, but it was like we watched Berenstain Bears and we watched like Bear in the Big Blue House, another bear, conveniently enough. There's a lot of bears in the server lately. But anyway, so when I grew up and no longer owned or watched Berenstain Bears, it was never an issue to me until I saw people saying, yo, it's Berenstain now. It's Berenstain now. And I was so adamant about it being BS because one of the most formative things was the understanding of the EIN or the IEN. I still don't know. I before E, except after C, except for in all these other words where that's not the case because English is impossible. Okay? But the point is that I remembered that Berenstain Bears because it was like formative for me. It was like, that's how I understood what Steen was. Stein, Bombitsburg, Stein every single time. I'm probably not allowed to say that. Oh, shoot. Anyway. So the point is that was formative. And I remembered that when people told me, okay, Berenstain, I was like, wait a minute, how is that even possible? It was certainly not Stain, dude. I would have remembered Stain. I would have remembered it like, because as a kid, another formative memory, we were building a house. My dad was building a house and the deck was new and exposed wood and we put Stain on the deck. And I just remember being a kid, like that was the first paintbrush applied sealant I had ever put on in my life. I knew what Stain was and they were not Berenstain, they were Berenstein. So I was bent. I was like, dude, something is not right. That was my initial when it first got me. But then later I started to see these other ones, right? Like the biggest ones, like the Fruit of the Loom, man. And Fruit of the Loom, it was so big because I was like, where did I learn what a cornucopia even was? What even is? You know what I mean? Like, look, if you type, and this is part of it, right? Let's go here and just look at it. Okay. Thanksgiving fruit. We did this as an experiment. Thanksgiving fruit basket. There's one. It doesn't take long before the correlation between cornucopias and Thanksgiving is made evident. And this entered into a crazy rabbit hole that I didn't see coming. But we'll get on it in a second. But basically what had happened was I was fixed at that point. Berenstain, okay, what? That's weird. But then when you're telling me that my underwear never had a cornucopia on it, and I was convinced, I was certain that the only way I even knew what a cornucopia was is because of that underwear. Or whatever. We all wore tighty-whities as kids. I remember it vividly. We all had them little tighty-whities on. But anyway, so I'm looking at cornucopias, or at least I think I am. Again, I'm not telling you what you should or shouldn't believe, but I was so taken aback when I realized, according to the internet, that the Fruit of the Loom logo does not have a cornucopia in it. And of course, I know I should have gotten this photo that my brother sent me. It's like a racetrack, right? Like a dirt track for dirt bikes or something. And it has these whiteboards all the way around the track. You know, you've seen them. Classic racetrack layout. And this place is old, so it hasn't been updated. And it has a logo board on it with different sponsors, right? And there is a Fruit of the Loom logo that has a cornucopia on it. And it's supposed to be like old. And so everybody, you know, this just keeps blowing up. It gets more and more crazy the deeper you dig. You're like, it's everything. And you start to like really believe that like the fabric of the universe is just this pliable thing, and that if I don't pay attention, something I knew was real will just be replaced with something artificial, like this weird, like, you know what I mean? I can see. I could totally relate because that's been my life. Like watching things get totally unrelatable and being like, what world am I in? I almost said, what planet am I on? Because that's how unhinged it is. I might as well be on a ball flying through space with how crazy everything is. But the point is that this whole Mandela effect thing is popular for a reason, because I'm not the only one. I think there are probably more examples than I remember off the top of my head of things that are really inexplicable and difficult to put, you know, to quantify, you know. So when I saw that cornucopia thing, I was like, I felt like that's what it looked like, right? Like, let me pull it up, like Fruit of the Loom logo, Fruit of the Loom logo, Mandela. But so let me show you the image, because it's worth looking at, right? We should see it. So this right here, this is what they usually show. Let me see if I can make it bigger. This is the kind of logo that we're looking at right here. Oh, we'll just visit Reddit so it's bigger. See how it's the fruit logo, and then it's coming out of the cornucopia. We've encountered an error. Yeah, that's because I'm banned from Reddit, I know. Anyway, so get that image in your mind, right? This is what we remember. See, look right here. I remember. It's so funny. It's literally like, it's possible, okay? It is possible that the universe is truly pliable, perhaps. Maybe it is. Maybe what we think is reality just isn't, and we just have no control over the stability of the program. Maybe it really is a matrix, and the matrix rewrites itself, and sometimes the new server update doesn't include the thing that you used to have in your life, in your picture. It's like the servers merge. They used to do this on the Sea of Thieves video game. You'd be out there pirating, and then the servers would merge, and the world would like ripple, and now you were in this area, but there were other people who were from a different server that are now in your dimension. You're like cross-dimension. And now they're trying to blow you up and steal your loot. It's classic. It's always server merging to try to cause you problems. And maybe that's the case, right? Like maybe the world really is a fabric that can just be rewritten. You know, maybe it is a program that can just be altered with binary instructions. Who knows? I don't know that. And I think that it's really important because as compelling as it is that I don't know whether or not my underwear really had a fruit of the loom cornucopia, it's important that we can remain skeptics, right? We can entertain this, but I have to remain a skeptic. And so this is where I was being skeptical and I discovered something. And this is what I'm talking about. This is where the rabbit hole opens up for me, and I start to then have even more questions. So I was trying to figure out the origin of this whole fruit of the loom cornucopia debacle and thinking to myself, listen, if I didn't learn cornucopia from my underwear, how do I know what it is? When did I actually first discover the existence of the concept of a cornucopia? Because think about it, everyone on earth was someone who didn't know what that was, and now they do know what that is. Where did you learn what a cornucopia was? That was the question I'd ask myself. Was it really my underwear? Am I remembering a cornucopia on my underwear, or was there really a cornucopia? I need to get to the bottom of this. So I'm asking myself, I'm questioning myself, and I had a thought, right? Well, cornucopia is like a centerpiece from a Thanksgiving dinner, right? And that's why I was looking at this picture earlier, or when I pulled up, you know, obviously Google's pretty generous with it, right? If you pull up the Thanksgiving fruit basket search, you quickly start seeing stuff. And of course, the curation will be different for you depending on what you look up on the internet, but like you see cornucopias here. Here it is, Amazon, 15 inches cornucopia. 15 inches cornucopia basket, rattan basket, wicker storage. Okay, the point is, you don't have to look far from Thanksgiving fruit baskets to cornucopia. That's where it comes from, okay? And I'm not trying to say everyone on earth has been celebrating Thanksgiving. That's not at all what I'm trying to say. Because my family was never classy enough to do this kind of thing. We never had, maybe at the extended families trying to make people think that we're a cool extended, show up to my house, look at how clean it is and all my stuff, look how cool we are type Thanksgiving. Maybe that happened, but I don't recall being taught about a cornucopia by a person. In fact, as I started digging in, I remembered where I had heard what a cornucopia was, and it was explained. I remember now how I actually discovered a cornucopia, and it's from this TV show called Arthur. And it's not just, okay, so Arthur Thanksgiving show, okay? If you look up the Arthur Thanksgiving, November 16, 2020, like I was already a grown man. This was during all this BS that happened just a few years ago. This is not the Arthur I grew up watching. This is some sort of weird modern Arthur. And I dug around trying to find it. It took me a little while. I now know what I'm looking for. But the original Arthur Thanksgiving show, and you can't just look for the original. It's called Arthur and Buster's Thanksgiving Spectacular. And it is lost media. You cannot find this video. It doesn't exist. Although it does, but you can't find it, you can't watch it, you can't buy it. Can I go to regular Google instead of shopping? So here we go. We have an Arthur wiki that talks about it. And this is important. I promise this is part of the story here. I'm obviously a kid. I'm not going to click that because it's going to limit my access. Okay. Arthur and Buster Thanksgiving Spectacular. No, we're not going to get a preview of it. The Arthur and Buster Thanksgiving Spectacular is a 2-hour special featuring back-to-back episodes of Arthur and postcards from Buster. It aired on PBS on Thanksgiving Day, November 24, 2005. Now, see, that's more like it because I was 9 years old in 2005. I don't know many 9-year-olds that know what cornucopias are, except for maybe nowadays because it's part of Mandela effect. But anyway, I am almost certain now that because I can't find this, that this is where I found the cornucopia. And I think that it was one of these people in the show. It was one of his friends or whatever had a Thanksgiving dinner spread, and on the table was the fruit basket. And someone, probably Buster, explained that it was a cornucopia. He said, oh, it's a cornucopia. It's a big fruit basket or whatever. And that is how I learned it, and I'm almost certain that's how I learned it. And this basically had me questioning myself because I was certain that the only way I knew that there was a cornucopia in the universe was because it was on my underwear. Like, I was positive that, oh, yeah, I know, Fruit of the Loom, that's way, you know. But now I'm not so sure. And I would love to have just been able to pull up the Arthur and Buster's Thanksgiving Spectacular, skip up to the scene, show you guys the clip. I scoured the internet. This cannot be found. It is lost media. It exists. It does. But someone has made it unavailable to the public for whatever reason, okay? And this is kind of where I think maybe my skepticism starts to grow, because I start wondering, like, listen, if we've got the, like, I don't know, if we've got the basic principle of a company that owns a piece of property like Arthur, and they distributed this, and nobody has a copy of it, dude. It may as well not exist. If this Arthur wiki didn't say so, and there weren't other people talking about it on Reddit and stuff, if people weren't keeping the lore of this 20-year-old special, all we would know is November 2016, because as the server's rewriting itself with new layers, you type Google Arthur Thanksgiving special, you get in 2020 video, which is now pushing 6 years old. Soon it'll be 15 years old. It'll just like that. 10, 15 years will go by, and the Arthur from 05 won't even be a figment of a child's memory, because nobody alive today is watching this as a kid. It's gone. If you didn't live between like 95 and 2005 as a kid to have watched this show, you'll never see it. You weren't watching Arthur in 2005, so it's gone. History has been rewritten right before our eyes. And let me just say, 2020, what a beautiful and pivotal year for there to be a new fake Arthur special, or a replacement, a replica, whatever you want to call it, because 2020 was the year that everything got super weird. In fact, this is where I'll introduce the idea that many are familiar with, which is called mass formation psychosis, and it's real. Something that wasn't real became real in people's minds to the point that they went militantly crazy over it. Now, I'm not accusing anyone of being that way, but I just think that there's probably a line somewhere between what is actual, like, I don't know what you would say, perhaps spiritual in nature, and otherwise just part of the same network of liars that run the world. And I'm not trying to be a defeatist or tell anybody that they're wrong, okay? Again, I'm just proposing that perhaps we are wrong about this, that we might need to maybe make a separation and kind of review things in different scopes. So first things first, when we're talking about the Bible, I can tell that's a contentious thing. People are raging in the chat over it, and there's a fuming, and there's a heated debate. I understand. I don't know if the chat section here is the place for it, but maybe there is a place for a debate, a review of evidence and information about the Bible stuff. And we'll touch a little bit on that. But what I'm talking about is secular mainstream Mandela stuff, right? The underwear. That has nothing to do with the Bible. And unless you can articulate to me a very specific, real reason, not like well, because you have to believe. Like, I don't want a fictional, I don't want a conjecture. I want somebody to give me hard evidence for why. Like, because here's the thing. Sinbad, you know, the Sinbad movie? My brother, who is a better man than me, smarter than me, sharper than me, for sure, he remembers the Sinbad movie, but he never watched the movie. He remembers the Sinbad, what is it, the genie movie where Sinbad is a genie. What's it called? Shazam? It's called Shazam for some reason, I guess. Even though it's not anything to do with Marvel's Shazam character, which is not from like the 2014 movie. It's from like the 80s. It's like been around a while. But there's this movie supposedly, right? This is another Mandela item, Shazam, where Sinbad, the character Sinbad, he's like an actor, you know. He plays this genie, and like it's a little kind of quirky, straight to DVD style movie. The reason my brother remembers it is because supposedly there was an advertisement for it that was on a VHS cassette tape that we had that was a different movie. I don't really remember it specifically or not, but my brother's pretty adamant that he remembers, just like how I remembered the cornucopia on my underwear, or even he would agree, Berenstein Bears. Like, that's weird. Something ain't right here. But at the end of the day, if we're going to start to believe very large, impossible things, then other large, impossible ideas have to be presented too. And it isn't to say, replace this with that, or one is better. But I just think we have to put all this stuff on the table because we just don't know. And when it comes to stuff like, you know, Berenstein Bears or Shazam or whatever, if we can come up with a practical reason why you would do it that's not mystical, then I can't just give it mystical. Like, mystical is when I have nothing. Then I'm saying, all right, it's got to be ghosts. It's got to be Satan. You know, I am not able to just give it away, you know, until I'm certain there's no other choice. You know, and as an intellectual and as a skeptic, I just can't be like, oh, it must be mythical. Let's start with actuality, right? Sinbad is a member of an elite social group that you and I are not a part of. Okay, that's a very well understood. If you see someone who is like famous on TV shows and on movies, they are not like us. It is not Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson arrives in LA with only $5 in his pocket. That is bullshit. These people and all their backstories, completely fake. Their careers are pre-established. The major corporations, the CEOs, everyone in positions of influence and power are being placed there by organizations that maintain control of the world. And if you don't believe that, then we can't have a conversation, because it's like, you can look at the geopolitical circumstance of 1945 or of time in known history before, well, you don't want to go back too far because it becomes muddy. But what we have on tape in the last 100 years, like mid-1900s, even early 1900s, there's a lot of that on film. You can see stuff happening. And maybe you can't trust the film, but it's the best you've got. Things have been controlled and manipulated. We're no strangers to that idea. So if there are forces at work who can go from a position in time and erase from the minds and hearts of every living person in the world the fact that Jesus Christ already returned to earth and lived and reigned for 1,000 years on the face of the earth, if they can erase that from your history books and from your records and from your teachers and from your grandparents' oral traditions, and you know what I mean? If that can be erased, if something of that magnitude can be erased, I don't think that anything is too big to get rid of. And, you know, we talk about all the time the disparity of technology, right? That the elites who run the world generally have access to stuff that is, whether it's ancient and repurposed, or if it's reverse engineered, or whether it's just kept secret from us for various purposes, oppression and monetization and whatever purposes they have that you can find. The reason there's this disparity is because it allows them to maintain this control, this impossible level of control. And we can acknowledge the impossible level of control. When you look at stuff like, there's like migrants sexually assaulting everyone like crazy in Europe, and like little girls are getting knives and axes to protect themselves from it, and then they're charging the little girl for having knives. You've got to be kidding me, dude. If anyone wants to be like, the world's, it's not like, it's a coordinated anti-human agenda, it is evident, okay? So if there's anything that's supernatural, it's definitely that. Like a multi-generational cult criminal mafia deleted Jesus Christ's millennial kingdom almost entirely from the minds and hearts of all living people. You didn't get told that there was a millennial kingdom. You found it because God led you to it, right? There was no evidence. It was just out there. No one was teaching it. It wasn't written down. It was wiped out. There was no Berenstein Bear DVD for you to check the cover. It was not there anymore. So people had to learn otherwise and then go looking for evidence instead of having evidence and then trying to come up with an answer for it. It was definitely a weird thing that they were able to erase the millennial kingdom. But because that capacity exists, I'm sorry, Sinbad, he put out a stinker. And maybe he's not the big dog, but maybe his dad or maybe his uncle is a big dog in some Masonic chapter somewhere. And he said, yo, we got to pull those. Like, I can't have that on my reputation. That movie was so cringe. Like, that's minimum. A guy with a lot of power who wants something done. How many times is that the reason somebody's dead? Oh, you slighted you got too close to some judge whose nephew was involved in a sting and got caught with like a Chris Hansen style sting, and you pursued it, and then cops came to your house and tried to kill you. You know what I mean? Like, there's stuff going on in the world that people are just not privy to that's crazy, that totally makes the world as we know it seem like a complete shell of what it really is. But it's not magic. I mean, I'm not saying it isn't, but you don't have to resort to magic to be able to explain how it's possible for a Sinbad VHS tape to not exist anymore. Just like there used to be advanced technologies all over this place, and you don't see any of it. You know, there's this little like hieroglyph with a helicopter on it, but you don't see an Egyptian flying machine. You know, time has a way of withering things away. And what's worse than time is a guy with a drill or a sledgehammer or an agenda. And when you have something like a tape that got distributed, they know how many they made. They know how many tapes of Sinbad were printed and produced. They know where they were printed. They know where they got distributed. They know the network. It's not that hard to track. If we had AI running back then, we could have tracked all this. But what's even more so is, what's a VHS tape? I don't know. It's a construct of a reel of tape in a plastic cassette that goes into a player that reads the data on the tape and projects audio and visuals that are correlated with the initially written data, and they can be overwritten, and they can be, you know, there's a definition. But what if there's a computer chip on that thing? Oh, you never would have thought to look for a micro PCB GPS because GPS didn't exist when they were passing out freaking VHS tapes. Oh, we don't know that there isn't micro nanowire in every t-shirt and it's all trackable by UPC code distribution. Like, does that sound far-fetched? Yeah, but like, oh, what is it? The fabric of the universe or the fabric of the t-shirt? You know what I mean? I can't just accept that the world is pliable because some angry angel is just pulling the threads to torture us. Like, I know the motivation to feel that way. I understand why it seems like that, but I actually arrive at this conclusion time and time again, which is that I've never been forewarned to believe that the universe itself was going to be altered by Satan. And even so, Satan has never been any time in history demonstrated as being able to do such a thing. Now, I know that we say, well, if it's the little season, the rules are different. It's like, I don't actually know that. And we were just talking about this recently. We were in the book of Revelation. We were looking at Revelation. What is it? Level. Revelation 21. Can we go to that real quick? It's right before 21. Revelation 20. Right? I wish it would work. Let's go here. I'm going to go here just because we were reading it and I know it's like, well, if the Bible is changed, then it might not say what it says. And I'm looking at a New King James Version, which, oh, well, that's not, you know. I'm not trying to get into the nitty gritty of that right now. What I'm saying is that we saw an angel coming down from heaven, right? Then I saw an angel come down from heaven having the key to the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. He laid hold of the dragon, that serpent of old, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. And he cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal on him so that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years were finished. So this sentence says a lot. He should deceive them. This is he. Who is it? He, Satan, does what? Deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years were finished. So what it's saying is who he is and what he's doing and when he's doing it for and then when he'll do it again. And I understand deception. Deception is a manipulation of perspective. It is an omission of exculpatory fact. It is an obstruction. But it doesn't change reality. Deceit requires that you lack the power to change reality because otherwise you don't need to use deception. If I can change reality, I just make my version the truth. So that's deceit can't even fit in a world where you can change the fabric of the universe. Okay? That just on itself is an issue for me. Because if Satan has the power to change the universe spiritually, then he could just undo, he just resurrected Nelson Mandela and re-released him again for the early 2000s so that he could do more influence and then die and be part of this thing. And I know that the general explanation is, well, the enemy, Satan and his people are doing this to cause confusion and to make you like confused and make you feel like nothing is reliable and you can't, so you're hopeless. And it's like, I understand all that, but that's more of that like, well, it seems good, but how do we have data of that? I'm a biblical person. I'm a Christian. Even though I don't like Christianity and what it's become, I believe in the truth of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I have to. In a world of all lies, the only hill worth dying on is Jesus Christ, the kingdom, the truth, the way, the truth, and the life. That's the only hill I can die on. So for me, I have to look at it like, man, if all I have is Jesus, what do I have? Well, I have the revelation of Jesus Christ. And it says that Satan deceives people. It doesn't say he changes the fabric of the universe. And it even goes on to say in the same chapter that he's released, right? And he goes out to deceive the nations again. It says this. So when the 1,000 years have expired in chapter 7, 20, Revelation 20, chapter 7, when the 1,000 years have expired, Satan will be released from his prison and he will go out to shred the fabric of the universe, which will destroy the minds and hearts of the people of earth. No. Okay? And I'm not trying to tell people they're wrong. I just don't have this. I don't have this. And so if I don't have this, then I'm totally on, trust your heart type thing. Walk by faith on everything. And okay, I know the Bible is not perfect. I know the Bible is a 66-book Catholic collection of documents, and that there are apocryphal texts and Book of Enoch, which is part of the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible, which is argued to be the oldest Bible on earth, and it contains Enoch. So if our current Bible doesn't have Enoch, if the powers that be can tell you the Holy Bible and it doesn't have Enoch, well, how do you know it's the Holy Bible? I get that. But that still doesn't make it magic. Some a-hole in the Jesuit order just said, oh, don't put that in there. We don't want them to know about that stuff. And that is a human effort, maybe led by Satan and his schemes, but it's a person who doesn't want you to know about Enoch or about Apocrypha or about any of that stuff. So, of course, that's going to be an issue ongoing. Okay, so when it comes to, let me just kind of wrap up the first point here. When it comes to the physical changes of the world, did they delete my underwear or whatever? Is Sinbad a genie? Did I watch that movie or whatever? Now, I saw it. Somebody saw it, right? But now it doesn't exist anymore, and you're crazy. Gaslight, gaslight, gaslight. And they already gaslight me. I would not be surprised at all to find a human coordinated effort to cause you and me to go crazy. But the fact that Mandela effect is so widely accepted, the reason it's so popular is because the things that are being changed are popular things. Berenstain Bears, Fruit of the Loom, stuff that people know about is not how they remember it to be. And so for everybody going into this, normal people, generally, non-theological, atheistic type people, they don't look at Mandela effect and just automatically go, oh, you know what it is, dude? It's Satan, because there's no other way it could be anything else. Most normies approach this stuff and they are looking for logical reasons, and I think we should try to be that way when it comes to the stuff that is of the physical world. Does the Monopoly guy's monocle have anything to do with me getting to heaven? Of course not. We all know that. And so for us to be over stuff like that, we can't get gung-ho about Jesus in the kingdom, we can get gung-ho about monocles and fucking Berenstain Bears, Come on. So, again, if we're just looking at this from an atheistic, a non-theological perspective, you got to come up with something other than God, because if you're not a God believer, that's not going to work for you. Supernatural is not an excuse if you're a cold, logical person who's obviously missing out on some great truth, but that's not the point. The point is their mind is convinced this is happening, but they don't think it's happening because of magic or because of Satan. So what is the real reason? I couldn't tell you, but I think that with each of these cases, there is a reason. So as you guys know, with the Fruit of the Loom thing, it's about their logo changing. And I love that the universe gives me examples because, as you know, Oh my goodness, no way. I love it. Revelation. Within the last couple of weeks, the famous restaurant grocery store chain Cracker Barrel decided they were going to change not only their logo, which is the big thing. They got rid of the cracker and the barrel, right? That's the ongoing joke. But they were also remodeling the store to a cleaner, less, cluttered look, so to speak. And everybody went crazy. People were so mad about it because they like the heritage. They like that homey Southern vibe. I saw a black dude on there saying he liked it because it reminded him of the Jim Crow South. I'm like, what? Why do you like that? But that's where we live now. That's the world we're in now. Things are crazy now. And I'm all for it if we can heal and laugh about things. Okay. But the Cracker Barrel came under a huge hit by like everybody, and almost no one defended them because there was no reason to do this. This wasn't even like a woke thing. It was like, we're going cold and corporate, and the building's going to be like a flat brick wall with black metal frames on glass windows. Like, it's going to be brutalism, and you're going to like it. And everybody was like, no, dude. If Cracker Barrel turns brutalism and ugly, I'm just not going to go there anymore. And they took a mega stock hit. They lost something like $500 million in equity. Oh, it's coming back. But look at that. It dropped 50%. Well, they're only showing, this is not accurate. I don't know what I'm looking at here. We're only at 1 day. What we need is like a 1 month. There it is. Okay, so we're up here and we're hitting. And what's happening is, it's not that the individual share dropped by like 100%, but it's because the overall number of shares losing by a percentage, it hurts it. Anyway, it's not been good, and they've been doing things to recover the brand. But the long story short of it is, they thought they'd get with the times and have a modernized logo for their big brand. And it was met with massive public backlash because people are nostalgic. People are more nostalgic now than ever. And the last thing they want is the deletion of more things that were good and an infiltration of new, boring, ugly things that suck. And so they were upset about Cracker Barrel, understandably. And, the part being that the new news article I'm reading right here says Cracker Barrel reverts to old logo after public backlash. So the people won. The pressure of society saying we want it to be a certain way was so powerful that they were unable to make the change that they wanted to make. They were going to be basically choked out by the general public who didn't want it. And look, I'm not trying to say that that's the case with everything, but can you imagine like a mid-80s or 70s Fruit of the Loom established brand just decides to change their logo, and everybody who was so well ingrained with it decided it was their personal vendetta to punish the corporate CEO who thought it was a good idea? Like, I want my underwear the way it's always been. The farther back into America you go, the more people were that way. The more people used to be like, I don't want that crap. Them import cars are junk. Like, that's how people were. Shoot, did I unplug my headphones? Anyway, I understand that people don't like change. It's natural. And I think corporations understand that. This example given by Cracker Barrel is, in my opinion, a perfect real-life example for why you would secretly change your logo. Let's just say, for instance, that the Fruit of the Loom logo did have a cornucopia on it. Maybe it did. And maybe for a while, like, can you pull out a pair of 1984 tighty-whities right now and look at the tag? So any takers? You got underwear in your drawer that's 30, 40 years old right now? Like, let's see it. I'm ready to see it. What happens? What happens if you do things slowly? Because I remember growing up and being taught that there was a thing called, I can't use the V word, but let's just say it's something they inject you with as an inoculant against an incoming virus or a disease, right? Let's say the definition of that is something that protects against incoming thing. They changed the definition of that word because the thing that they had everyone getting injected with didn't meet the definition. So they changed the definition. Does that make the injection the thing, or does that make the thing the injection? See, they change history right before your eyes. It's not even a big deal. And if you don't like it, you just post a tweet that no one sees and you're forgotten forever. I'm sure there were plenty of people in asylums in the 1800s yelling about the Millennial Kingdom and nobody gave a crap. So, is that a hill worth dying on? I'm sure many people actually died on that hill because they knew there was a kingdom and now it's gone and there's no proof and you're crazy. And you were gaslit by some guy in a top hat with a monocle. He had a monocle. He had one. Anyway, I don't really know anything. I'm just saying that when it comes to the physical stuff, if I can smell a good reason why the powers that be that have the power want to rebrand their thing. Hey, let me give you guys a good example. This happened with eBay. Actually, I'll just tell you the story. I don't think I'm going to find any good examples of it. They probably won't show it, but there was a time in history where eBay used to be like a bright yellow website. I'm sure some of you guys remember, like early 2000s, and eBay was like very brightly colored. And one day they did an update to the look of the page. It was time for a new chapter. You know, we all do this. I've done this. Here we are. It's time for a new chapter. We're going to overhaul this thing. And so they overhauled it. And what happened was people were disgusted. The new eBay was like white and plain and bland and flat, and it had no heart, it had no soul, and everyone was so mad, and they're like, eBay, you! Ah! And like, because people just make stuff their thing. They're like, I use eBay for sales, and I buy everything off eBay. And it's like, when you are a person, you find your niche, your thing that you're into, I'm an eBay seller. I buy antiques and then overprice them on eBay and sell them. Well, whatever you do, if you become like loyal to something, you don't want people to change it and mess it up. I understand. That's actually a really normal way to feel. And eBay tried to do this whole, let's just jerk everybody over here to a white eBay and it'll look different than the yellow one. Everyone was so mad about it that eBay like reversed the decision. They pulled a Cracker Barrel and said, let's go back. We don't want to get in any trouble, but you know, let's figure it out, right? Let's get to the bottom of this thing. So they pull the choice, like they pull it back, right? Cracker Barrel, logo returned, you know? And that is the exact same thing eBay did. They flipped back to a white, or from the white to the yellow fun one. But what happened is over the course of the next, 6 months or a year, every couple of days, they slowly washed that yellow color out of the page overlay. So it was bright yellow, and then it was slightly less, and slightly less, and slightly less. And over the course of like a year or 2 years, they turned it fully white, and there was no uproar. It was the death by 1,000 cuts. It was like they're pressing the fill tool and they just turn it a little bit wider. Click. All right, upload. And they just did that over and over again until eBay became the eBay that they wanted it to be, and nobody had anything to say about it. In fact, most people didn't even notice because the change was so subtle. And that's, I think, the unfortunate thing about time. Time goes by so quick while you're distracted at work. Next thing you know, it's been 40 years since you owned Tidy Whities and you don't remember. Okay, and I'm not trying to insult people. It's possible that we forgot. But before I gaslight everyone who knows everything, who's seen it all themselves, I'm not trying to say you're wrong. What if it's not that they magically changed the underwear? What if they just started printing it differently? What if they just changed the logo and they didn't want to tell anyone that they did it? What would be the uproar now if Fruit of the Loom, now as they've dug the deepest grave possible by saying, no, look at all these logos. We've only ever had these logos. And they're making you look crazy. What would happen if they admitted it? It would destroy the company. It's like there's no going back. That's a hill they chose to die on. Or not, or it's magic. It just faded away by the power of Satan. Maybe. Maybe. Oh, shoot. I guess he has world-bending power. Of course, given to him by God, but I don't remember when or where we were forewarned about that. I was told this guy was going to lie. That's what deceit is, lying. World-bending power? I mean, a liar would love you to think he had world-bending power. I could just think about it. Imagine that. Oh, I'm a big liar. You guys should all believe that I'm chosen. You know that I can bend the fabric of the universe. I don't know about that Messiah that you're talking about, but you know what I mean? I feel like if anyone's trying to sell me that Satan has that kind of power, I have a hard time with that one, just because of what it is. If you boil it down, there's no way. Satan actually, really, like imagine trying to explain that to an atheist. You're like, all right, look, I know you don't believe the Bible, but I don't believe it either because it's not what it used to say, because Satan changed it. He used power to change the Bible. So wait a minute. In order to believe in flying spaghetti monsters, I have to believe that a flying spaghetti monster has the power to change the story about flying spaghetti monsters so that I can not know the truth about the spaghetti monster that has the power that I don't know about to change the thing so that I can't know. It's like, I'm not trying to crap on anybody, but it's just like, to me, it's like, I don't know how we're ever going to get anywhere on that. Like, that's the ultimate doctrine of confusion to me. Well, I believe it, but I can't convince you because I don't even know it's true anymore. I can't do that, dude. I can't. I'm not saying the Bible is perfect, but I look at the heart of the scripture. Translations, like, are we reading it in Greek or Aramaic right now? Like, if I'm holding an English version of the Bible, how do we even know that's right? I pull up Strong's Concordance and hope that what they said was the correct thing in Greek, but half the time it's not. And I'm not trying to crap on the Bible Mandela thing because people are super adamant about it. In fact, this is what I'm getting at, right? If you want to tell me Jesus Christ is not the Messiah, like if the Bible opens up tomorrow and says Jesus is not the way, the truth, and the life or whatever, if it says something like that, I'm on, dude. I'm in it. I'm on. If tomorrow Jesus is no longer the Messiah and he doesn't have dominion over all the earth and all this, so on and so forth, if the Bible changes to a level that cannot be understood, and people would argue, well, this is important, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I've seen a lot of these scriptural changes and it still says the same thing. And maybe I'm just ignorant, but like I heard it be like, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Everyone's heard that. Well, apparently it doesn't say that. It says the Lord hath gave and he hath taken away. It's not the same quote or whatever than what we remember. And in that example, we're lucky because, well, it didn't change the fabric of the universe because the logos of the text is still the same. The Lord does something, but he also has the power to not do something. Okay, what changed? Like when I hear the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away, I hear what everyone has always done, which is to take the Bible and paraphrase it. And I hate to say this, but like, I don't think that many people were paying attention to the Bible until pretty recently in history. And the reason why I say that is because nobody believes that Jesus came back already until like the last 10 years. It's as if no one ever read the Bible before. And I'm not trying to insult anybody, but just like, no offense to anyone. I didn't read the Bible. I wasn't a believer. I was raised a Christian and I heard stuff in church, but did I open the Bible ever until 2018? No. And I think that a lot of people would have to admit that too, that they never looked at it. They never read it. They just saw a book and heard words flying past their head so they could get through the damn service and get out of that boring, smelly, old people piece of crap. And it sucked too. And so we weren't paying attention, and so we don't even really know what it said, except we heard pastors who paraphrased it and wrote their book with the paraphrased thing, but maybe they weren't reading it either. Maybe they were standing on the pulpit, absorbing free money, aggrandizing themselves with the easiest societal leadership position. Because look, if you want to be president, well, that's a high tier. If you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of work. But you know what? You can be a leader and a big dog. All you have to do is fake your way through seminary school and become a pastor. And everybody knows pastor is like the lowest leadership position. It's a position that attracts creeps and weirdos because creeps and weirdos want to use religious doctrine to control people and to do all kinds of corrupt things. And so the pastor, who's supposed to be the guy who's articulating all of this for all of our lives, they're all idiots. No offense, but not one pastor have I ever heard for the course of the 60s, 70s, 80s. I never heard a pastor preach the millennial kingdom. I never even heard the kingdom mentioned once. They say something like, thy kingdom come. That's the only time you ever heard the word kingdom, except Jesus, who kept saying it over and over and over again. And yet it was never taught in any church I ever heard of or went to. So when I hear the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away, that's probably what it said because that's what some guy said it said. But how do we even know he was saying it right? I'm not trying to accuse people of misremembering. I think you remember it correctly and you remember someone saying it wrong. And everyone collectively just agreed that the wrong thing was the right thing. When is that not happening? All day long. Well, there's good people on both sides. Trump's a Nazi. That's what everyone said. I was there. That's what it said. Like, we cannot fall into that position as thinkers. Nah, it's what I think it is. Nope. Well, it's because, it would be great. I even like the motivation of the idea that it's like, well, God's allowing Satan to really push it during this era that we think is the little season. We're pretty sure. We don't know. But because it seems like that would explain why Satan has now got world-bending, fiber-manipulating powers that can change the Bible. And then here's my other question. If Satan can manipulate the pages on a book in your dresser that's been there for 40 years, don't you think he could just manipulate your brain, which is made of flesh? Like he could just mess with the connect, like your neural pathways, he could just manipulate them using his fabric. You remember wrong because Satan has the ability to program memories into your brain because he has universe-shredding supernatural power given to him by God for just such a season. You see what I mean? It becomes this QAnon thing. Like, it's like you'll know when you find out, but you got to trust the plan. Well, you have to believe it. All we can do is just believe in Jesus and we lose our authority. We lose the authority to say what we know is true because now we entertain the truth being that Satan can manipulate the very scriptures themselves. And so how do we know Satan isn't just Jesus and Jesus isn't Satan, the serpent in the garden, like Agrippa says? Or how do we know that there isn't some magical continent in the Bering Strait? How do you know? You can't. So now anyone's idea is a free-for-all, and if that's the world we live in, it kind of is. If that's the world we live in, well, I'm just going to go ahead and be a zealot on my own then, and just be like, nah, not my God. My God is not subjected to allowing some groveling serpent to manipulate the fabric of his world. God doesn't even manipulate the fabric of his own world. How hard is it to get a miracle up in here? You see anybody like magically regrowing their leg or coming back from the dead? God doesn't even do anything. And I'm not trying to say it's because he sucks. It's because we suck. The kind of people who think that. Like, I'm not trying to shit on you guys, but really, like, I can't allow myself to believe Satan has all that power, even if God gave it to him, because that's not the character of God. I'm going to torture you so that you can learn a lesson. That's never been the character of Jesus. He meets people where they are. He doesn't bring you to misery. He doesn't crush your life so that then you'll decide to repent. Maybe sometimes. But I just don't see it being that way. I see it as very simple. There are powers that be that are disgustingly advanced beyond us. Like, I was looking at a video the other day of them zooming in on a microprocessor, and it had like cities on it that were electron microscope magnification. You'd have to zoom in far enough to see these. How could you be? My initial thought was, this is truly satanic. This is evil, demonic technology. We can't even come up with this stuff. There's no way this is real. We aren't doing this. This is done in some demonic way. Like, that was my initial, because it's so inexplicably insane. But then I remember, all demons do is manipulate what God already made. The fullness therein. The earth is mine and the fullness thereof is what God says. Or what is said of God. And I think that's a true statement. I don't think there's anything in the world that's not God's and that he didn't make. And I know things have been used and corrupted. But the things that have been used and corrupted have been corrupted by the perception, right? Like, what is a swastika? Well, it's a cosmological phenomenon. You know, at each of the solstices and equinox, Ursa Minor makes a square around the northern star, Polaris, and it makes a swastika in the sky. Okay, that's what that is first. Then it becomes the adopted symbol of ancient Aryan peoples, who were not racist, by the way, they just were white, okay? And they rode around with that for a long time, and it's spread all over the world. It's in India, it's in Asia, it's all over the world, okay? And then at one point in mid-1900s history, a faction of National Socialists rose who took pride in the invocation of said symbol, and now all anyone remembers is that it's a symbol of hate. And even to this day, you know, if I put a swastika instead of a Benz logo on the back of my Bama Lamb, I'll probably come out to slashed tires and broken windows, and maybe my dream car burned to the ground by some angry, ignorant sack of crap. Because the deception, something that used to mean something that was programmed by God, it's a cosmological circumstance, a timer, it's a clock, it's a marker on a clock, and now we believe it's hate. I mean, I don't, and I know many of you don't. But if they have the ability to do that using just words printed on pages and people with their stupid fake book and their Oprah special about how they were a prisoner somewhere, if that's all it takes, man, then the fabric of the universe is too pliable. It means we should just take it and bend it our own way then, if it's that easy. I don't think it's easy. I think it's difficult. But I think that the enemy, their faction, is well entrenched. They're in the director's seat of what's going on the media and on TV and being spoken about by personalities. And we don't understand the fabric of the universe enough to say Satan's manipulating it. We don't even know about stuff like telepathy. What's it called? Wendy was talking about it. Tulpa. And that doesn't even begin to get into, check this out, Tibetan Buddhism. A tulpa is a concept originating in Tibetan Buddhism of a being or entity created through focused mental effort and visualization. Modern practitioners, often referred to as tulpamancers, use the term to describe a type of willed imagery willed imaginary friend, okay, believed to be sentient and relatively independent, while others consider it a paranormal phenomenon. Most modern practitioners view it as a psychological one. So Tulpa is like basically it's manifestation, right? These people are talking about basically bringing something to light, making it real just by thinking it or willing it to exist. We've heard all about this manifestation thing. And I'm not here to try and say that, well, if any person can, but look, if a person could do this, then Satan could do it. I get it. I understand the idea. But what I'm getting at is more about the idea of a connected human thought pattern. You could call it a hive mind. You could call it like what? I wonder if what they say about Akashic records. Here we go. You guys heard of the Akashic records? Spiritual concept describing a universal energetic library that contains a non-physical record of every soul's past, present, and future experiences, including every thought, word, feeling, and deed. You know what that kind of sounds like to me? That sounds like Book of Life, dude. And then it makes me wonder, right? If there is a book of life, that's what the Bible says. It means everything that you thought or said or did. And we know that that must be recorded somewhere because the Bible says that you'll be held to account for every idle word. You'll be judged for that. Of course, we know that the blood of Christ Jesus is our atoning sacrifice. It's the get out of jail free card, so to speak. But that doesn't mean that the record doesn't exist. And so what I'm wondering is, do you think it's possible that by the same powers that be who change history, who delete the kingdom, who change the definition of an injection of the V word, if they can do that stuff, who's to say that we haven't been collectively inspired to manifest something that just never really was real, and we believe it's real because of the power we have over ourselves and each other, the power of the body and mind, that if we're going to be spiritual and entertain spiritual concepts, what if the people changing the universe is not Satan? What if the people changing the universe is us? What if we have allowed ourselves to manifest times and memories and systems and things that we were so certain about that we made it a reality? There was a cornucopia on my underwear because I needed it to be real, because I knew that's where I knew it from. It's the only way. It's the oldest memory. It's the longest back. What is that basket called? And someone tells you cornucopia, and now you know, and now it's not there anymore. And so there's this profound loss, a disconnect from the reality you know is real. But how do we know what's real? You know, I heard a story about a guy who got hit in the head. He was bashed over the head by somebody at like college campus. And it doesn't matter what was going on outside of this man's mind, but when he came to, he was in a very different place than he believed he was, because he had just spent what he thought in his mind was many, many years working a job, having a wife and kids, experiencing a life that simply never happened. He had a what he thought was years of a life. Wife and kids and memories. And he said that one day he sat down on the couch and the light in the corner of the room started flickering. And he didn't know what to do. He wasn't sure what was going on. And then all of a sudden he woke up. And he was back in college, on the ground at the college campus, having received a traumatic brain injury from someone clubbing him over the head. And so everything he had thought was real during that time, that he grieved the loss of his imaginary friends, his wife and children. The same kind of thing that this manifestation of an imaginary character. He had Tulpas syndrome. He got bashed over the head into a manifestation. And look, I'm not saying that everybody is weak of mind or corrupt or that we're looking for reasons to give excuses to give Satan power. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that it's not always so mythological or special or spiritual. But if it is, wouldn't it rather make sense that what was going on was something that you had a say over? That it was your fault? Take responsibility and say, I convinced myself that it was. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe, like hubris. Maybe we don't remember it right. As much as we really want to believe it, what are we? A perishing flesh hunk. We want to be sons of God, ascended beings. We want to be good and faithful servants, followers of the way, doers of the way. Take up our cross daily. We want to be men and women of God, kings and priests, sons and daughters of the Most High. But what we are is a bunch of losers who suck. I can't even remember where I put my keys, dude. Like, you're not going to sit here with me saying, I know it had a cornucopia and I'll destroy my friends and family. Because that's where it gets scary, dude. If the logos of the Bible exists, if Jesus Christ's existence is still present, if I hear the Lord gives and takes away, I don't care how many American re-rendered mega altered version translation that says a weird way, if the result is the truth, I don't care, dude. Not a hill worth dying on. And the thing I think is the most tragic, again, it's not to say that this is not real. It could be real. That's the point I'm trying to make. Satan could be given special power during a special time. That this might be. Maybe. And it could be for the purpose to make us question everything and lean on God with everything, because that's the only thing we have is the truth that God made the world, that he sent his only son to die for our sins. That is true, and I will never let that go. I'll die on that hill. But I'm not trying to die on the hill about something that I can't prove. If I can't prove it to people, because I can prove the millennial kingdom with scripture and evidence, okay? And that's a kind of a foregone conclusion. Archaeology, Gunnar Heinsohn, the words of Jesus Christ, you know. I could go that route. You could say, oh, the Bible's fake though, but I'm like, okay, whatever. You know, strata and the layers and everything. That all matters. It does. I could prove that. I could even prove the shape of this place because the physical science doesn't add up. I'm sure some of our folks in the community are really well aware of that. Like, you know, lasers don't just bend because you like the idea that over a certain distance they do. Come on, immeasurable, unprovable. It's refraction. No, cope. That's there. That for the secular world, that kind of stuff, that I have to invent a supernatural reason for how the laser can bend. We're not like them. You know, I'm not making shit up. I want the facts. The laser does not bend because the world doesn't bend. I'm sorry that your whole atheistic, anti-God, garbage evolution from a pond scum to a fish to a monkey or whatever, I'm sorry that that is challenged and troubling you. But evolution, it doesn't work because God made the world, and God made the world, and it's seated on the pillars of the Lord and so on and so forth. It's another foregone conclusion. But this whole thing, Satan manipulating the Bible spiritually somehow, is one that I can't prove. And even if you ask AI to look through their archives and you go through all this experimentation to try to prove it, it doesn't prove anything. The only thing it really proves is that we don't know anything, and that is not a hill worth dying on. When I imagine trying to present to an atheist that everything I've built my whole world on, the rock of my life, is a mythological thing that could be or could not be true because another element of the mythology is that it could all be manipulated and fake anyway, I'm just going to play video games till I'm dead then, dude. I'm about to just become a Warhammer 40K nerd or something because it's all just up to your decision making. That sounds good to me. And that's the fact of the matter, is that it's not about what sounds good to us. The truth sometimes hurts and it sucks. And sometimes it's like a slap in the face because it's like, dude, maybe I shouldn't have gone so hard on this thing that I didn't know for sure was real. Even though I'm really convinced of it. I'm really convinced free energy exists. I'm really convinced that you could make ultra atomization for fuel and get 120 miles per gallon on regular cars. You can get 120 miles per gallon with performance from a V8. If you atomized the fuel properly, had a perfect air-fuel mixture that was somehow, you know, adjustable depending on the engine conditions, the atmospheric elevation, torque circumstances, you could. But I'm not going to like freak out. And this is like really my big thing. If you're a believer in Mandela effect, keep looking. Seek the truth, you know. Knock and the door shall be open to you. As long as what you're doing doesn't ever get in the way of your salvation, of your understanding of who Jesus Christ is, King of the earth, and that he's alive today and still king. If you can remember that, let's explore, let's learn some stuff. But my warning to people out here in the truther world is to not become carried away by ideas that sound good unless you have the data to back it up. And the problem is not that we will believe something that is probably true and good for you that you know it. That's a blessing. The problem is that we harm people with this stuff, and it doesn't advance the kingdom. And I can think of at least one person I know of who has gone so far on this thing that their own family doesn't talk to them. They think they're crazy and unhinged. And I can't get behind that, dude. Like, for me, you know, I don't have any kids or anything. I can be a lunatic with a conspiracy den. You know, I can be where my neighbors, my peers, my colleagues all think I'm unhinged, crazy cult guy. That's fine. But I don't have a wife and kids that I'm beholden to. And in my mind, if I have to know something and just carry that burden because my wife and kids can't or won't understand it, you don't just get to stop being a husband and father. Well, what I think is true is more important than my responsibility to you. So I'm just going to keep ramming the idea until you hate me. I'm just going to keep trying to force my crazy conspiracies on these people who do not want it until they hate me. And then what victory is that? I don't know, man. I feel like I see this taking place where people get off on these conspiracy theories and they're not worth dying on. The people are dying on the hill of unproven shit. You know? Like, it's a cool story. It's exciting. I love conspiracy research, man. I used to stay up all night listening to Alex Jones and be like, oh, what? Really? And then you find out some was real and some was fake half-truths. You know how it is. But man, I cannot imagine like if I was married and had kids right now and like even little season, I tried to tell my wife and she's like, you're crazy. I don't like, okay, I promise I won't bring it up again. Look, maybe I am wrong. I'm sorry. I know we're trying to like pay bills and live life and you gotta eat and the kids gotta eat and go to school and everything and divorce is expensive and the community will oust me and hate me and by way of that you because you're attached to me and it's like, what is the hill worth dying on? Is it worth it? No, the people must know that Satan can bend the fabric of the universe. I just feel like, dude, not me, bro. I'm not in on that, dude. Like, no. I am not going to propagate that, dude. I can't. I'm a skeptic over everything. Maybe after a believer. I'm a believer in Jesus and a skeptic second. And look, I'm open to believing that it's possible. Maybe the Bible has been changed. Maybe it's not been done supernaturally. Maybe it's done with agents who break into your house and switch out your Bible. You know what I mean? Is that more far-fetched or less far-fetched? Really? Tell me. Imagine this. It's like Mr. Smith. It's the Matrix. There's an organization that has advanced people that have hologram camouflage, like in Halo, active camo. You can't see them. Oh, they also have special noise deadening tools that make an atmospheric noise deadening around them. It's a bubble. It's an electromagnetic bubble that stops all sound. It absorbs it. It's like Vanta Black, but sound. So these guys can walk into your yard. They make no noise and you can't see them. And then they come into your house and they have fancy lock-picking tools from the future or the ability to just like, you know, ethereally transport through your wall using some advanced molecular vibration suit technology. And then they break in your house and they take your Bible and they know what your Bible looks like. They 3D scan it real quick with a tool that duplicates the age and patina of the pages. It even knows what pens you used because it's part of the archive of the advancement. Oh, they know what pen you use. They know the age. They can tell the pressure that was used on the page, and they can molecularly assemble a duplicate. But the words are different. See, now it doesn't say, "The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away." Now it says, "The Lord hath gave and He hath taken away." And you're over here like, "Oh no! I know that's not what it said." And you're freaking out because something impossible has happened. And then the first thing we assume is, well, this must be Satan. This must be that a dimensional angelic dragon demon is striking at the heart of truth by trying to rewrite the Bible or take pieces out of the Bible. I'm like, look, I totally think he is. I totally believe that he is trying to get rid of us, get rid of the truth, get rid of Jesus. I mean, look at how far he's gotten. Almost everyone on earth doesn't even believe. If they believe in Jesus, oh Lord, he coming. And like, oh, any day now, rapture any day. Next week, main character podcast, level 58, The Rapture. I'll see you there. Man, I don't know, dude. I just feel like we need to be the kind of people who really, really test the waters. And I'm not saying like when we're having fun, like I love Ceiling Fan Man on Friday nights. I think Ceiling Fan Man is a great guy and he's really smart and he's done a lot of research on this stuff. So I'm not trying to just be like crap on his parade. But I haven't seen Ceiling Fan Man like ruin his relationship with his wife. You know, and maybe there's more to the story. Like, you know, it's family's complicated. I'm not being judgmental here. I'm just saying that if you have problems and the contribution to that is that you're on crazy conspiracy theories and stuff, I think Paul talks about this stuff a lot, like tips for truthers, right? Like, let's not be the kind of people who stake our claim on something that we actually can't prove. You know what I mean? And then I'd be like, oh, there's plenty of proof. Wah, wah, wah. I've been watching channels on YouTube for a while, including some of the big ones that are known for this kind of stuff, and I'm not convinced. And for everything that there is, I could rebuttal it. That's why I'm not convinced. Not because it's not a good argument or because, there's ways to perceive it that way. It's just because I can't point to something and say, well, the infrastructure of the Penn Station building or whatever is impossible for the people at that time to build. Like, we're not talking about good feelings. We're talking about a horse-drawn wagon does not have the lift capacity for a 20-ton monolithic block. It had to move there somehow. It was not moved by the way that is presented. So that's evidence. It doesn't prove anything, but it proves what isn't. And that's the first step. You say, it's definitely not what they said it is. And we've done that. We've said, they tell you, just what you think it is, and Hitler was an evil bad guy, and you are a replicable molecular pile that dies and goes to the dust of the earth. You have no significance. You live on a ball flying through an infinite space. You're just a bug on said ball, and when the ball burns up, you mean nothing, and nothing you do matters, so whatever. Like that's quite an extreme worldview, but people believe that. Is that provable? Absolutely not. You rely on some CGI, which we know is BS, so you can prove that it's not that. But how do you prove what it really is? That's the truther's conundrum. It's not about, we're not liars. I mean, I get maybe liarers or something. We're not looking at what is a lie. Our life is not about proving everything false. We're trying to get to the truth because Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. And if you can get to the truth will set you free from all this other bullshit that's going on. Real or fake, speculative or factual, good intentioned or not. There is a reality. And whether or not we are in cohesion with it, that is our choice to make. That's why there's been insane asylums that have been packed full of people because their reality was not in line with another one. Maybe their reality was the real one. And all of us thought that unhinged shrieker was, on something. But they were going through this amazing experience, I don't know. I don't know. We don't know. And I think that's really what this all comes down to. What I do know is that Nelson Mandela is not who they say he is. He's like a racist, and he helped destroy South Africa, brought about harm to many people under the guise of like equality and whatever. They always say that. They're always here to help you. No, he was a bad guy from the beginning. Did he fake his death in the 80s? They reported it because they thought it would be politically advantageous, but it didn't work. And then later they deleted all the archives of it ever happening. They hunted down all the newspapers. It's true that every printer on earth has its own special code, They have their own signature and they can be tracked to the individual printers. That's a fact. You can look it up. So every printer, even down to the little crappy home printer, they can tell forensically where the page came from. Every printed thing on earth. So, maybe they just track your house or track you back to your printer or whatever, you know what I mean? The technological grip they have on us in this age is insane. But do they have spiritual power over us? No. I don't like the idea of it. I'm not going to believe it. Why? Because God is the one with spiritual power. He is the source of all power in the universe. All authority has been given unto me, says Christ. Where did it come from? From the Father. And so who currently has authority? Jesus. And that has never changed. So in order for him to have all authority, he has to have all. And that word means all. There isn't some authority laying around separately from his. And I don't know of a time in the Bible, even if Job is the example, right? The Father is giving Satan permission to attack Job and ruin his life. I don't know of a time where Jesus resurrected gives power to anyone else ever again. And so for Satan to be unleashed to deceive people, that's just a guy lying. It's not world bending. Okay, and maybe you could call it world bending because it's really powerful, but the reality didn't change. It was just the perspective. They photoshopped the picture. But what was really there was really there. So does a tree fall in the woods? If a tree falls in the woods, does it actually make a sound? Yes. And they could play back a recording of a tree falling that wasn't that tree falling and say, this is the recording of the tree falling. And that would be a lie. That would be a deception. But did the tree fall? Yes. Did it make a noise? Yes. That's the bottom line. So if you really know that your Bible changed one day over the next, yesterday it said this and today it doesn't, well then a tree fell in the woods and it made a noise. The question is, What really happened? What was that noise, right? Was it the tree that fell, or was it a different noise played over top? Was this a real instance, or was this something that our brain in its flawed nature really attributed to because of whatever reason? Like, I really needed to believe in the Cornucopia, and then I thought maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was just Arthur that I learned it from, a Thanksgiving special that I can't watch anymore because it's been scrubbed. They scrubbed it, dude. They have the power to scrub. You know, I'm sure some people had it on VHS, but it's gone, you know. Where is it? Crushed in a dumpster, or gathered up by an agent with a holographic camouflage and sound deadening technology because they work for Sinbad's private asset recovery management company. Undo your public mistakes with Sinbad's agent asset recovery. They have the ability to go into your house using ethereal molecular vibration suits, and they can steal your VHS tapes right from under your nose. Maybe. Come on, is that any less realistic? And that's the point. Who's right? Is it Satan or is it molecular vibration suits? I don't know. I don't care. It's not a hill worth dying on for me. And my warning to you all is have fun. Seek the truth. Knock and the door shall be open to you. Keep your eyes fixed on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. Pick up your cross and follow him. And whatever you learn along the way, I pray it's to your benefit. I pray it's to everyone's benefit. I hope the truth is revealed. I want the light shining on everything. I'm so big about the light shining on everything, I almost went scorched earth tonight over some stuff. I literally was almost going to be, I had a poll set up last night that was the Mandela SmackDown or Scorched Earth 2. And I was about to say that. And maybe I will. Maybe I will go Scorched Earth. Main character podcast level 58, Scorched Earth 2. Oh no. You know? Maybe, maybe not. I kind of like having a good time most of all, if we can. And I think that's what we should all be trying to do, is try to make the best of a bad situation. Is it the little season? Maybe. I kind of hope so, because I'd like it to be over. I'd like the last season to be the time that I got to live. Not some era in the middle where I just got old and died and just was there. To be a part of the last generation, that's crazy, man. If that's bestowed upon us, we really are special people. Praise God for that. Though the time is worse than we would imagine, utterly horrible, destructive, deceptive, and awful, we're blessed to get to be here for the time that we're here no matter what. God made us for a reason. He made every single one of us with a purpose. God needed something done, so he made you. And that's why you're here. So, keep your chin up, keep looking, keep digging. Seek the truth. Follow the way, the truth, and the life. God will show you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door shall be opened. That's what we need to do. But let's not be like zealots and religious over stuff that we don't actually know, you know? Especially to the detriment of actual relationships with real people. We're allowed to have conspiracy friends, but then we also have to be a good example. We have to be stable. We have to be controlled. We have to be reasonable. And that's one of the reasons why I can't be doing Scorched Earth, because I'm supposed to be trying to improve. I'm supposed to be like a better version of myself, not just some guy. But then that's where the line is, right? Sometimes you have to shine a bright light on something to reveal the truth of what it really is. Does that make you a bad guy, or does that just make you an agent of the molecular vibration group who has to do the, you know what I mean? I don't know. I really don't have an answer for all that stuff. Nelson Mandela, he can get body slammed by Undertaker, or me with an Undertaker body, because I'm not, I'm not quite as formidable as 6'10". But ultimately, stay the course, right? Keep moving forward, pursuing what it is that God has placed before you in your life. And, maybe we will get to the bottom of it. Maybe we will find out that Satan's doing stuff like that. And maybe part of finding that out is learning how to fight back, how we can change the fabric for the Lord's will and make the world a better place. That's what matters to me. That's my main drive in life. Conspiracies are important, but what's more important than conspiracy is Christ and his dominion over the earth. And I want to be a kind of person who lives that way, who sees the state of the world as my responsibility. I think that's something that we should all be called to do, because we're not Americans or English or Japanese or French. We are members of a kingdom that is not of this world. And so we got to learn how to live that way, how to manifest that in our own lives. And I think that if we all knew how to do that, we'd see the world change. It isn't about making a centralized system or leader, because we already have a leader. His name is Jesus Christ. He's the King of the earth, the living King. He's alive today. He reigns today. And so if our focus is on living out his will in the world and doing the commands that he and the Father have called us to do, what God wants us to do, if we can teach people to do that as well, all the other things will come. Seek first the kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. That's what he says. And I believe that. So we have problems in the world, right? Things are upside down. People are being lied to. The government's shipping all of our money to foreign countries. They're arresting little girls for trying to defend themselves in England. Things are cooked. People like beating the crap out of unconscious guys on the stage. Everything is getting wildly out of control. And the natural inclination for someone like me is, well, we got to grab hold of the reins and fix it. We can do that, but not me. We. The body. We all have a strength. We all have a weakness. We all have a purpose and a place in this whole thing. And we need to know this thing first. I'm not saying let's go after this or go after that. We can plan in the future how we're going to change the rules and make things better physically, how we're going to put in a new road that's not cheap and crappy, and how we're not going to send our money away to villains. We can practically change things. But we need to teach people how to change here, through the power of Christ Jesus. Not just accepting salvation, but becoming a member of his kingdom, living it and meaning it. That's the only hill I think is worth dying on. If I'm going to alienate myself from my friends and family, it's because my belief is that this world belongs to Jesus, and the laws of the earth in every land and in every community should reflect that fact that is provable and real. It is not speculation. It is not good ideas. It's not entertainment, even though stuff like that is fun. Jesus Christ is the cold, hard truth of this world. The King, he's alive today, he reigns today, and I want the world to know it, and I want the world to not be able to deny it. I want them to live in the splendor of his glory, so that even they are humbled by the beauty of the life that his kingdom will give to them and to all of us. That's what I'm focused on. So in the future, there will be a new channel, the Christian Dominion Movement, and I will be creating also a Discord group for all of you guys who want to participate in the Christian Dominion push. Like if you feel called to do something more than just research the word and fellowship, but to actually look at solutions and plans to practically instruct and educate each other and ourselves continually in the understanding of our true identity in Christ. That's my big focus. There will be time for pontificating about the shape of the place or whether or not things are magically disappearing or changing. That's the blessing of having a kingdom community, is that you can talk about crazy stuff with your friends and we know what's really important, the kingdom and Jesus. And so we're not going to alienate each other or write each other off over differences about the actual shape of earth or minor things that don't affect the kingdom or salvation. But we should also be people who push the truth, the real truth, the thing we know is true, which is who God is, why he made us, and why we're here. And I think that that's pretty clear, but I'll say it one more time. God made the earth to be an extension of his kingdom so that there would be another dimension to his already perfect paradise. And in so doing, he created mankind to be the overseers of his new refurbished chapter. It's the add-on to his house, right? He's adding a renovation to his palace. And he put us in charge of that. And we failed the job. But he sent his son to make things right. And his work is complete. He didn't fail. And so we are worthy to manage the remodel again. We are worthy to be his ambassadors here on the earth. We are as sons and daughters to God now because of Christ's great work. And so there's really nothing more important than that. Your job, your family even. If there's a hill worth dying on, it's his holy mountain. Amen. I don't know what else to say, guys. Crazy Wednesday night. I don't even think I did anything too bad tonight. I don't think I flamed anybody at all. John says, it's so hard when your eyes are open to something that others can't or won't see. I think we can all agree on that 100%. You know, we're living in a very strange time. We don't know what's real or what isn't, you know. We just got to try to do our best. And if we can agree that the truth is important and also understand that we haven't gotten there yet in a lot of ways, I think we'll do well. And we're on the right path. I believe that. Like I said, keep our eyes fixed on Jesus, author and perfecter of our faith, and everything else is going to be just fine. He's got a perfect path to the kingdom, and I'm ready to walk on it. And I hope you guys will join me there in the near future for the Christian Dominion movement and everything that has going and everything that we're going to be doing. It's going to be really exciting, real change. I believe it, because it's by God's power that kind of thing can come to pass. Yeah. So with all that being said, guys, thank you for joining me. I know I said some stuff tonight I shouldn't have said, but it's okay. I think we'll pass the smell test, I hope. And if not, that's just the way it is. But guys, thank you so much for joining me for level 57 of the Main Character Podcast, made possible by the Cult of Con. That's you guys. I am Con Man, and thank you for being here. We will be back Friday for Burj Khalifa, Sunday for the Sunday service, Monday for Guys Gotta Eat, and we will be back next week once again, level 58. I'll see you there, all right? Thank you guys so much for being here. God bless you all. I will see you all later. Have a great week. Take it easy. Reflection and introspection is my profession. I'm recklessly disrespecting what you expect and investing in my discretion, teaching the lessons, impressions to keep you guessing what I do next, man.
Now when the 1,000 years have expired, Satan will be released from his prison. He will go forth to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together for the final battle, an army whose number is as the sand of the sea.
It's amazing the affirmations that come my way when I fake it until I make it. The truth is waiting, complacent organizations. They say I'm racist, they hate and they making payments on my vacation. I'm the man, I'm the king, I'm rejecting what you think. Rearranging your mentality, got some Kool-Aid you can drink. It's a scam, it's a plan, it's a con, and I'm your man. You know I tell it like it is, I hold the secrets in my hand.